My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on today's show, I'm pleased to have Breon Parker. He is a outfielder and also a freshman and a former Windsor baseball player, and he's doing great things with UMass Boston. Was on ESPN a couple times, and that's how I found him. And it's great to be able to have on Connecticut talent, and I've got another one on. Breon, great to be able to have you on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on here.
It's awesome, like I said, to be able to have Connecticut talent, and especially because, I'm a baseball lifer. I was just watching the Yankees, already down 4-0. The game's already over because they can't score for what. But watching the game of baseball, playing it, broadcasting it is fantastic. And it's great to see ball players who played at the high school level being able to play at the next level, which is what you're doing. But I just kind of want to go back a little bit to the high school days. We were kind of reflecting on Windsor a little bit. Just talk to me about kind of your years with Windsor as far as just playing baseball and if you played any other sports as well.
Yeah, so at Windsor, baseball was always like my main sport. Like that was what really brought me to Windsor. And so freshman year, just a normal year, playing on JV, switching back and forth, just getting to know the program, getting to know the players, the coaching staff. And that's what really made me fall in love with Windsor baseball was the coaching staff. And then you get into it and you fall in love with the culture there, all the players, things like that. Sophomore, we get banked for COVID, but junior year, we were right back at it. We had a really good team. We had a really good playoff run. Lost to Berlin in the quarterfinals. That was unfortunate, but we knew we were gonna be back. We knew we were gonna be back in that playoff situation, and so I think senior year, that was the whole like idea, the whole thing keeping us going throughout the year. Like we don't want to lose in the playoffs this year. Like we're gonna take this thing home. We're gonna be the team. We're gonna be dogs. Um, and so that's how we went after it. And one win after another, we were just rolling. But I think a big thing or a big part of that championship run was the closeness of the team. You take a really good culture like Windsor, a really good coaching staff, and then you combine that with just really good leadership up at the top, and then a really good chemistry, having team, and you've got pretty much everything you need for a state baseball championship.
Now, during that run, you talked about the closeness of the team and such, and I don't know how many players were coming back from the COVID year and from the year prior, but was this a team that kind of grew up from the time that you guys were little and kind of came through the system, or was it something where it was just a course of over and maybe COVID being a factor as far as having the team? Because COVID did a lot of things, right? And I felt like it brought many people together in one way or another. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you really had it on the nose there. Like COVID kind of opened your eyes to see like um, some things you have today you might not have tomorrow. And so I think that was we all thought about that. We took it to heart. We realized, hey, like maybe like today I can play baseball, but tomorrow I can't. So like we just have to go out there every single day. We have to love the sport we're playing, we have to give it our all, and we're not going to take anything for granted. And in terms of growing up together, I mean, I moved to Windsor my freshman year of high school, so I didn't necessarily grow up with all of them, but I know that all the kids that were coming up through that program, they played Little League together. They played middle school together. A lot of them played AAU ball together. So they all knew each other for years prior. And so that's kind of how Windsor is. You have a lot of guys, or a lot of people, I should say, that are just growing up together. And so by the time you get to high school, it's like you've already got your friends, your best friends, and now you're just playing, having a good time.
Now you said you moved to Windsor your freshman year. What were you coming outside of the state or just from another town?
So I'm originally from Springfield, Mass. And so I was coming from just a bit north of the border, not too far. But it was definitely new. Like I said before, I really wanted to come here because of the baseball coaching staff and the culture that I heard about, and they were really welcoming. I think it was my fall of freshman year. I was already talking to the coach. I was always already talking to players like how excited I am to come join the team.
Mhm.
And at that time, I was playing soccer, so I wasn't even like doing their workouts. I was still focused on soccer, but they were like, "Hey, man, we're ready to have you. We're really excited."
That's awesome to hear that, and to hear how welcoming they were as far as making sure that you felt like family, part of the program and such. Was there any adjustment for you? I don't want to say culturally per se, but just as far as adjusting from being where you came from Springfield, Mass, and then having to come down to Connecticut. Was there any adjustment also to a new school as well? Does that play a factor as far as the adjustment period?
Yeah, so being in Springfield, I was always close with the same people, same group of friends. I grew up with the same people, just like the kids down at Windsor did. And so the transition was a little bit different. Another thing, I was always with my sister. She's my best friend. And so not having her there anymore, that was a little bit difficult. But my dad was at the school. There was a bunch of resources if you ever needed them. Everybody was really nice. And so the transition honestly wasn't too difficult. I mean, you miss your stuff back at home, you miss your people, you miss doing certain things. But in terms of coming to Windsor, it was pretty easy, and I'm honestly glad that I did.
Now you said you played soccer as well. Did you play all 4 years?
Yeah, so I played soccer, indoor track, and baseball all 4 years.
Okay. Now I got to ask you, especially, you and I were talking about the success of the basketball team and also to the football team. Was there any temptation or did the coaches ever be like, hey, Breon, you want to come play football? Do you want to come play basketball? Was there any sort of that or no?
So going into freshman year, I was actually a basketball kid, and then I
Really?
had a conversation with my father, yeah, and he was like, "Hey, I know you love basketball and all, but we've got a really good track program here, and if baseball is what you want to do, speed kills, and it absolutely does." And so he was like, "You might want to think about joining the track team." And so I never really got much from basketball, football. They're always trying to recruit kids, but track, man, too. Track is another sport at Windsor that's they're dangerous. They're very, very good. Very good track coach, very good history of just winning.
Really? So it's deadly, right? There's a lot of good kids out,
Yes.
right? Okay. Now I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, did a lot of football players do track?
Oh yeah, a lot of football players running track. A lot of other athletes running track. It was kind of interesting because um I didn't know it at the time, but once you get on the track team, you start trying to recruit your friends like, hey, come run track. Like it's not too bad. It's a lot of fun. So you'll see athletes from all different sports coming to run track, and that's honestly just what makes it so much fun.
You know what? And now it makes sense. And we'll get into what happened as far as how you got to ESPN. But the play that was made kind of reminds a little bit of the track aspect. And you could dissect it a lot better than I can. But the movements, just watching the video, and I saw it quite a number of times, the movements, the cuts, everything that went into that route does remind a little bit of track. And it seems like track really played a part in your baseball career early on. And particularly because you play a position where, let's be honest, you're like a track guy, maybe not doing a
Mhm.
full marathon, but I don't know if you were a sprinter, but sprinting plays a factor.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell the guys on the field, in high school when I was in the outfield, we'd be in the outfield shagging balls. I say it here at UMass Boston too. I'm like, guys, playing the outfield is really just a marathon. You just never stop running. And so I was a sprinter in high school. Um, Main event was a 4x2. So if you know anything about that, it's a quick race, but it also teaches you a lot about teamwork. We were actually all region, I think second team All American. So that was really nice my senior year. Um, but yeah, track play has played a huge role in uh, how I ended up here, a lot of the success I've had in soccer and in baseball. And so I can't be any more grateful for, um, honestly, my father for leading me in that direction to run track.
And the success that you have for baseball too, you mentioned your senior year winning the title and such. Do you ever reflect on that either on the season or better yet? I don't know if you have the ring on you or even in the building right now, but do you ever kind of, if you do have it, do you ever peek at it just to be like, wow, like we actually as a team did this? Because it's really not, it's about entering about a year now because for, in Connecticut, baseball championships, ninth and 10th for softball and baseball. So we're coming close to that 1 year anniversary for Windsor winning the title.
Yeah, it's one of those things you definitely never forget about, and I don't plan on forgetting anytime soon. I don't keep the ring here because I didn't want to lose it. I keep it at home. But you ask anyone at home, the second I get there, I just put the ring on and I walk around the house with it. I've got the baseball state championship, the medal right there. So it's something to look at all the time. I've even got like a poster they gave us for like senior day, and so um, it was just a really it was such like a close-knit group of players, and it's like to end like that, it's something you don't want to ever like forget about it. I think about it almost every day. I have pictures on my phone that I look at all the time. We have group chats that we're texting about like, guys, we really did that. Like in 10 years, they're gonna be putting us in the school hall of fame. Like we did that. And so it's just something really cool to think about, and
Mhm.
I'm really grateful that it all happened.
No, like like you said, something that you'll never forget. It's a memory that Thankfully, the one good thing about phones is that you can take pictures and videos and have things to look at 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Hopefully, when you and the rest of the team, if you guys decide to have families, it's something that you guys can share for the rest of your lives. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll definitely be telling my kids about that one.
Especially the poster. Make sure that thing stays nice so that we.
Yeah.
Right? So I got to
Yeah.
ask too about obviously, you were focused on winning the title, winning the chip. Now, did you commit to UMass Boston before all that happened? Was it after the season? When did that play a factor?
So I committed to UMass Boston. I believe it was late October, early November before the season. And so I think it was just after our soccer senior night, maybe like a week or two later. Um, and so honestly, like I didn't have to worry about like where I was going to school or honestly performance wise, like I wasn't worried about if there was coaches in the stand. I could just play free, be me, and that was really helpful. But yeah, I committed in the fall, just like the other three players on my team, Mason Glickman, Jonathan Latimer, Nason Busca, we all committed in the fall.
How big of a role model was your father when it came to something as far as choosing a school? Because it sounds like he was a big part of your life, obviously. Still is now. I'm not saying he's not, but it sounds like he was a big part of your sports and probably the overall person who you are as you first started at Windsor. And I would think that choosing a college was also a big part as well to help guide you.
Yeah, he's definitely been a huge part of my life. And in terms of the college decision,
Mm-hmm.
I think a big part was he never told me what he thought was best for me. He always told me that I need to, for one, do the research on what I'm getting myself into. And secondly, just like follow my heart and do what I think is best. Um, he's always someone who's never gonna go into something blindly, and so he always kind of instilled that into me, and that's honestly what made me like my decision took I don't know like 2 3 months after I got the offer, and I kind of knew I wanted to come here right when I got it, but I let it marinate. I did my research, and that was all because of him.
It's looking at the numbers, what you've done this season. Obviously, you made the right decision, and I'm sure UMass Boston is happy to be able to have you. But as a freshman, and I've always believed, regardless of what level, Division One, two, three, JUCO, whatever, if you're playing as soon as you step on campus, you're doing something right. You started all the games 34 out of 34 from what I'm going off the stats. You're batting 280, which is, I think, fantastic. But again, your game is not built upon power. You're a speed guy, put the ball in play, let your legs go, and you know what? Force the defense to make errors, which I'm sure they've done. Where would you say you are as far as what you expected going into the season? And now, with about, I think you said 4, 6 games, something like that remaining before conference tournament play, where are you as far as where you felt like you would be at this point?
I mean, everything's by design. So part of that research was figuring out who was coming into UMass Boston, who was leaving. I knew they had a really good senior outfielder, Steve Brookwell, who was on his way out. And I just saw that as an opportunity come in here and earn a spot. And it's not to say that I couldn't beat somebody else's spot out at a different school or anything like that, but I knew that spot was going to be open and it was going to be mine to take. And so that's
Mhm.
exactly what I intended on doing. That was goal number one, and it's worked out so far. Um, and yeah, I mean, I didn't set too many like specific goals in terms of stats and things like that. I looked at them at the beginning of the season. I stopped looking at them because I was like, you know what, it's best that I don't and focus on like just being present in the moment. Um, but I came here wanting to make a name for myself. I came here wanting to um instill all the leadership things that I've learned at Windsor and from my father here. And so I think I've been doing that as well. And honestly, I came here to have fun. I came here to play baseball and have fun on the baseball field, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I'd say it's been going pretty well.
Yeah, I would say so. You're having fun. I would say that's a big factor, but also to a reality as well. What kind of adjustments for you was it? And I know every player I've talked to that's gone from the high school level to the college level, various forms of adjustments. It could be one thing or another. It could be the structure, right? It could also be obviously speed because you're facing more dudes who probably throw a little bit harder than the high schools. Although the CCC is a very good conference, so again, could be an outlier. For you, what was the biggest adjustment going from the CCC high school level Windsor to now LEC UMass Boston College?
Yeah, so the CCC is a very good conference in Connecticut. I think it's sometimes underlooked, but still very good. Everybody knows that. Um, Transitioning though, Um, I think my coach at Windsor, Joe Surface, he prepared us the best. He always gave us a tough schedule. Like every year we were playing Glastonbury, Southington, Newington, Berlin, East Catholic, all those teams. And so now you come up here to UMass Boston, playing very good teams in a very good conference, and it's not so much different. You have good competition. You know you got to compete your ass off. Um, and so it's just the same like mental, I'm gonna go in there every day and I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna work harder than you. The velo is definitely up. I mean, you're not really going to college unless you've got velo or you've got some breaking stuff. So the velo is up. But that was an adjustment that was made in the fall. You just got to put more work in. But definitely the structure of college baseball. I mean, in high school we weren't playing double headers unless it was in the summer. Now you'll have 2, 3 games in the week and then end the week with a doubleheader in who knows, Maine, Vermont, wherever. Um, you get more practice hours. We're lifting 4 days a week. Um, and so especially in high school, I barely ever lifted. And so I think now coming here with practice, games, lift, that stuff starts to take a toll on you, but you learn how to take care of your body, you learn how to manage it all. And so that's definitely been a big adjustment.
Now that's you just saying how you didn't lift in high school, and now thinking about kind of your game and such, and what potentially could be, where your ceiling is, right? I mean, obviously, freshman year you're doing your thing, right? You continuously do like what we talked about. But do you ever wonder, like, okay, now going into, I know right now, obviously the season's still going, you're not thinking about next year, but as you progress in your baseball career, right? And you head into the next off season and then the following off season, so on. Is the potential there to add a little bit of pop? Not say you got to come in like Jose Canseco, but there's a possibility where you start to add some power to your game. You take that next level as a batter, especially for a position in center field, which is a premium.
Yeah, lifting was definitely something I didn't think about until I got to college. And now that I'm here and I'm doing it, you want to do it more because you see your body start to transform and you're like, well, this could have happened a long time ago, but now that it's happening, I'm gonna make sure that it keeps happening. So I'm gonna get in that weight room. I'm gonna eat right. Um, and yeah, we've had talks about that how there's like more room to add power and um, well, it's not necessarily a part of my game. It definitely can become a part of it, and so I think that would be something that I'm definitely looking forward to add. And it'll be interesting to see. I always talk about how in high school I never hit a home run. Barely ever put any balls off the wall. If I got a double, it was like in the gap. But it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see me push myself to be able to hit to that next level of the field.
And even if you don't hit for home runs, which by all means, I'm somebody who's not a big like home run because I love seeing doubles, I love seeing speed, I love seeing action. And you just mentioned how, you barely scrape the wall. Well, maybe you adding power is those doubles. I think you have four this season and one triple. Maybe that becomes 20 doubles or 15 doubles. And we'll say a handful of triples, right? That could be something that really just adds, and now your average creeps up even higher.
Exactly. And I think I've always been a player that's like I don't care about my own stats too much as long as I know I'm helping my team out and I'm helping them win. So at Windsor, I never looked at any of my stats. As long as I was getting on base and letting the rest of the lineup do their jobs because
Mhm.
we're all here to do our job and we're all here for the same goal and to have the team win. So I don't care too much about my own stats as long as the team is winning.
But I will say, and we'll get into the catch that you made that made on ESPN. I know you cared a little bit about that one. Talk to me about, before we get to the whole ESPN part, talk to me about the play. So let's say the pitch that led up to that, right? I'm sure you remember it, what pitch it was, the route, the whole nine. Did you lose it in the sun? Did you, intentionally want to make it look that nice as far as a catch? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so Southern Maine, I've never been up there before. It was a weird outfield. It was 388 to center and like almost 420 to right center. It was weird. Um, but I was just in a groove. Just like I always am. I'm in a groove. On timing with the pitcher, just thinking about where I'm gonna go if the ball's hit here, there. Um, and so I see contact made, and my first thought is I'm drop stepping. And so earlier on in the day, I'm talking to my outfielders like, yo, once this ball goes up, I can't see it at all. Like the sky was horrible. But you actually see me with shades on. And it was just hard to track. So I drop step, I start going back, I realize this ball's like crushed over my head. So I drop my head, I turn and go. I'm not even looking at the ball at this point. And then I look back up. And I think once I look back up, that's where you start to see me like drift off to the side. And that's me kind of creating some space so that I can really see where the ball's at. And then I'm starting to close in on it, but I'm like, it's one of those 50-50 balls. You don't really know if you can get there or not. And I start sprinting towards it and I realized like this ball's gonna get over my head. So I did what I know how to do best. And I was just like, I'm just gonna go get it. So I jumped up, grabbed it. I actually saw it in my glove. It was not in the web. It was about to fall out. That was my first thought when I caught it. I'm like, this ball's about to fall out if I hit the ground. So actually, the glove hits the fence and the ground. I was so glad it didn't fall out. I was like, thank God, because those runners on first and second, if I dropped it, they were scoring. But threw it back in. That was honestly the first time I've ever been like really shaken up from a diving catch. Like usually I can just like wipe it off, like get myself back together in the dugout. That time I had to take some time. Trainers came out, but I was all right. And after the fact, I was like, that was kind of dope. That was kind of dope.
What was the reaction in the dugout?
Um, they've actually seen me do that a couple of times this year and in the fall, so they weren't too surprised, but they were like, "You're a dog, Breon. You're a dog." Everyone was hyped, and so that was cool. That was something nice to come into the dugout about. Diving catches are always a momentum shifter, and so
Mhm.
um, that was definitely fun.
So just another day in the Parker office, right? Just dive in and
Just
do my thing, right?
just another day. That's who they know me as, someone who's gonna go get the ball, and I think that's a big part of why I'm in center and why I've stayed in center because I'm always go get the ball. I'm always try to steal outs.
And when it made ESPN, and I know it was in the morning when kind of it showed and such, and you mentioned how your phone was blowing up. I'm sure for a second, you don't strike me as a guy that's selfish or makes it about me. You play a lot of we, I mentioned in basketball, we play, a lot of we basketball, the team and such. Baseball, same thing, a lot of we, it's us. For a second, I think justified, you could be a little selfish for a second because that's pretty cool to make ESPN, dude.
Yeah, definitely. So it was a news guy from ESPN, I think that was there, and he came and asked some of my teammates for my name because he was going to send it into ESPN. And I've heard that before, so I just like kind of shook it off. And then in the morning, I woke up and it was my cousin from New York who texted me first. He was like, "Yo, I just saw you on ESPN," but he didn't send a video. So I was like, "Are you for real?" And then 20, 30 minutes goes by. I'm starting to like people are sending me videos, I'm getting tagged and stuff. And then
Mhm.
I honestly didn't know how to react. I was like in shock. I was like, wow. and I'm like in my apartment with my three roommates, and I like didn't even I couldn't even tell them. I just kind of had to like wait for them to like see it on my Instagram. I was like, I can't like say this right now. But I think later that night I was like sitting in my room and I was just like, this is dope. This is legit. Like I'm enjoying this right now.
Well, you know what, dude? I don't anticipate that being the last one. Something tells me you'll be hopefully there quite a bit if you continuously stay on the path that you're doing, dude. So you should be
Yeah,
good.
I absolutely hope so. Thank you.
But hey, man, I appreciate you coming on. A lot of fun being able to talk with you and hearing your story and kind of what led to that play. I feel like always people, I've always believed when I'm broadcasting games that, the play, the shot, whatever it is that makes the player, but there's a story behind how they got to that point, and it's always cool to hear that story. So I appreciate you coming on, Breon. A lot of fun being able to talk with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. As always, I'll wrap things up here on the CT Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm Journey Find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.